Recording. And again, welcome to all. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Cindy Linhoff, the Director of the National Child Care Association.
Hello, and welcome back to all of you that have attended our two previous webinars. We're certainly glad to have you back, and welcome to those who, this is your first time. And I do hope that all of you that have joined today will feel the urge to share your experience today with others, and also share any of our future webinars with others. Our goal at the National Child Care Association is to offer meaningful benefits and support to providers and educators like yourselves to help you find the greatest success in operating your business or teaching in your classroom, or both, because I know some owners teach as well. And I also, want to take the time to say to everyone on board today that you are essential, and you will continue to be essential. And you were essential before the pandemic, during the pandemic, and long after. And I'm so hoping that if something good comes out of this tragedy that we're experiencing, is that people won't forget that you are essential. People cannot go to work without you, and there will come a day where people will want to return to their offices. So keep the faith, and I pray that all of you stay well and can celebrate a wonderful Thanksgiving. It may be with a smaller crowd or a smaller group, but again, enjoy, the blessings of your work and your family. And again, I can just go on and on. I know right now the childcare business is extremely fragile. It was fragile before, and we were just starting to recover a little bit, and now it's taken a turn for the worst. But I know the strength and the diligence of the childcare community, and I know you're doing everything you can to hold on. And we are so hoping that we have the opportunity in the near future as we transition our government to getting back on track with our advocacy. So I encourage you to continue reading your newsletters and your emails, because when we ask for your help and ask for you to respond to an action alert by contacting your U.S. legislators, we will need each and every one of you to do that. So in the meantime, I am going to turn this over to Caroline Jens. I had the opportunity of meeting Caroline last year at a conference, at a child care conference, and I had heard a lot about her and about the service that she provides, and I was impressed. And then I met her and I was more impressed. And she really has a lot to offer as a former child care provider, and now as someone that supports the business of child care, working with several owners. And she has agreed to share with you one of her topics in this webinar about how to develop a raving fan culture. And I'll let Caroline take over from here and tell you anything else she would like for you to know. And then, of course, I'm looking forward to revisiting raving fan culture. That's a term that I remember from my career a few years back. And, I look forward to being reminded and receiving some of the most updated information.
Well, thank you so much, Cindy. I appreciate that. And thank you guys and NCCA for allowing me this opportunity. I appreciate any time I can get in front of other childcare professionals like myself and in this learning environment. And this is a topic that I hold near and dear. This raving fan culture is something that is a way to help with your enrollment and recruitment when we learn how to really have it as a piece of our culture. So I'm excited. We don't have a lot of time, and if you've ever participated in any of my trainings, I have a tendency to just like hammer you with all kinds of stuff. And so that can get a little overwhelming, but what's cool is that we'll provide the PDF of today's presentation. That'll get sent out to all you guys that are listening. And in there, you'll have refreshers about everything that we talk about today. And then I'll have my contact information at the end so that you can feel free to email me if you know, something didn't translate correctly, or if you have questions on something. So a little bit, I'll spend a lot of time on myself because I'm just Caroline. It's but I founded Child Care Biz.
Caroline, yes. It's Diane. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Is there any way that you can switch to the other mic? This one's crackling a little bit. I just want to make sure everyone can hear everything perfectly.
Sure. This is the good mic, so I'm curious. It's still crackling.
That sounds good, but I'm concerned that, let's see. Go ahead and I'll let you know. Thank you.
Okay, let me know. For some reason, we're having microphone issues today. We'll just blame that on COVID, right? We'll blame it on the year 2020. But I founded Child Care Biz Help, a child consulting firm. We help child care.
Let me ask, I'm so sorry to interrupt. Let's try the other one, if you don't mind. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for your patience on this.
Okay, we're going to go back to this mic. How does that sound?
Perfect.
Okay. We'll keep our fingers crossed, everybody. So again, Child Care Biz Help, we help child care centers nationwide, help them become more profitable, help them with their enrollment and recruitment. I do have a book out there called Profits, Child Care Success Formula. And that helps you through all kinds of different areas of your child care center. And when you do them all right, you're going to earn more profits in your center. And then finally, we do have a podcast, and Cindy was recently on one of our podcasts. So look up Daycare Overhaul, because every week we have a new episode that comes out with just really relevant topics. We always have guest speakers on, so we'd love you to join in. But again, enough about me. Today at the end of our presentation, we're going to have a giveaway. So for those of you that remain on, I don't know if you've heard about our new director subscription box, but this next box is going to have $300 worth of value. So if you're a center director or you know a center director, this has all kinds of fun, useful tools in it that will help them be better leaders, including a journal that helps them prioritize their day for 90 days. And then we always interject a bunch of little fun things. So we all love getting a box in the mail with good stuff in it. So if you don't win your box today, you can always purchase one. And again, in the presentation, we'll have the link as to where you can get that. But at the end, we are going to be giving away one box. So hopefully we've got one lucky winner here today. Well, great. So our objectives, you know, in order for you guys to walk away today feeling like you've gained something out of this presentation, our time is very valuable, and I don't want you to feel like you've wasted it with me. So we're going to dive into 3 topics, and that's being a 5-star workplace. So, you know, we've always had that 5-star rating that we get when we're like #1. So we want to have a 5-star workplace. Also, we're going to talk about this raving fan process. So I've got a way that breaks it down really easy that you can take back to your centers. And then we're going to talk about how to get results, because that's the hardest part, right? We can sit in training today, go over all these neat ideas, but if you don't know how to go and implement them to get those results, then it's not going to help you at all. So by the time that we're done today, my hope is that you'll be able to go back and inject your culture with this raving fan mindset. So what is a raving fan? I mean, we can all assume what a raving fan is, but you know, a raving fan is a customer that is so happy and so fulfilled with what you do at your child care center that they're not only going to continue to use your service, but they want your brand to be the most successful. Like they're your advocate. Just like NCCA is your advocate. They are going to go out there on the mountaintops and brag about the service that they're receiving with you. That's what a raving fan is. And they're going to be that constant funnel that brings in new enrollments and new teachers. And I bring in the new teacher piece because a raving fan is not just prospective families. It's also your employees and prospective employees. So we've got two customers, right? We've got our families that are customers and we've got our employees that are customers. So we want raving fans out of both of them. And when you can do that, you're going to ensure that you have this consistent influx of enrollment and employees. And that's because these raving fans are going to go out there and brag about you. And that's what's really cool. It doesn't happen overnight. We're going to go through some real examples on how to do this, but it does happen over time. And I can honestly say that I walked in your shoes. When I used to run a center, we had 45% turnover. And that was back in the day when turnover rates were like 12%. The center that I got into, there was 45% turnover. So no one was a raving fan. We were struggling getting enrollment and we struggled hiring teachers. So we were left with this really toxic environment. So we put this raving fan process in place. So this is something that's really tested and has real results. So before we can start thinking about creating raving fans in our centers, I want you to start reflecting for just a moment on some of your personal feelings. So I'm going to just think of these questions in your head. Do you feel cared for at your workplace? Do you feel like you deliver on the promises that you're telling your families and your employees? Do you feel like you're delivering those? Are you proud to be an employee or an owner of your childcare center? Do you learn new things all the time, or do you feel stagnant or feel like you're not going anywhere? And then maybe, are you ready to make a change to a new job? So just really reflecting on that. Do you feel cared for? Do you like where you work? Do you think your employees are happy if you're an owner? Are you happy? And then, do you like those answers? Some of us are probably sitting there scared. If we were to ask our employees those questions, or our the people around us, our coworkers, if we were to ask those questions, what would people's answers be, right? So sometimes that can be really scary. And I would even suggest, if you manage employees, I would even suggest maybe sitting down and asking people those real questions to find out, what is the temperature of your culture today? Now let's do one more thing. Let's consider how passionate we are about what we do. Where would you land on this scale in terms of passion? Do you feel like you're on the left side where you're super energetic and you're happy and you're just on fire every day, right? Or do you feel like you're frustrated and discouraged? Or maybe you're tired and spread thin. You know how when you're tired and spread thin, it's hard to tap into those passions? Maybe you're at the hopeless. So right now with COVID having gone this long in this environment, many of us feel hopeless. That can lead you to feeling uninspired. And then there's that really bad one over to the right where you're indifferent or frigid. So that's where you're so complacent where you don't even care. You're basically just going through the motions every day, doing the same thing. What kind of employee or owner or teacher or director do you think you are if you're kind of indifferent to everything? So I like to start off with those reflection areas because that's our individual perception of our workplaces, right? It's really the thermometer of how passionate we are about what we do. And I do this because we can go through today's training and give you all the tools on how to create raving fans. But if we are not raving fans ourselves, individually, if we are not raving fans about our organizations, how are we going to get others to feel the same? So I always like to start off, change starts with you. Passion, your passion as a leader, as a cook, as a teacher, whatever position you are in your organization, your passion will cause movement in your company. It will make you act. So passion makes you act. It makes you want to do things, right? Whenever I'm really passionate about something, I'm like gung-ho. I'm always thinking of new ideas, new things I can do. So passion creates movement. And these movements are what inspire others. These are what get people excited. They join your bandwagon. So like when I was talking about the turnover rate that we used to have, it took a while for me to gain trust in my staff. But once I did, once they saw my passion, and once they saw the things I was trying to implement, they jumped on board. So my passion caused movements, and it caused all of us to act. And then this emotion brings about change and excitement. And oftentimes, that's all you need to get that fire going for people to become raving fans. So when it starts with you, on the left, you'll see I've got some words there. You know, how do you start these movements? And you may think it's complicated, but it could simply come from a smile. You know, just walking around, showing that you are passionate about where you work. Just being thoughtful and respectful to your coworkers, being positive, being the best employee or the best owner possible, engaging, using your talents, mentoring others, and then growing from feedback. All of that, doing all these things where it starts with you is how you start that journey on to becoming a 5-star workplace. And I thought this was a cool statistic. Maybe it's not cool, but 89% of consumers began doing business with a competitor following a poor customer service experience. So think about that. One poor customer service experience, you can lose your customers to your competitors. And a raving fan environment prevents this from happening. And I also want you to keep in mind that this also relates to the experiences that your employees have. If your employees have poor experiences with management, with the environment, if it's toxic, they're going to go to the competition and work for them. I know in the last webinar that NCCA had with Inspire Care 360, he put a dollar amount on that turnover. And he said, generally, on average, if you have 2 to 3 childcare centers, turnover costs you around $80,000 a year, $80,000 a year. And so that's how important this raving fan culture really is. So how do we create this culture? So I narrowed it down to these 3 simple letters, FAN. So that should be a really easy acronym that you can start at your centers if you want. And it's 3 things. So it's first impressions, always engaging, and then now and forever. So this is the raving fan process that we're going to talk about today, and I'm going to give you some real examples to use. All right, first impressions. This is my favorite one. And I actually, I always like to start off with this story about when I sold my house. This was back, oh goodness, maybe 10 years ago. And I had to have my house sold by a certain date because my husband joined the Army. And so we needed to have it sold and we needed to be gone by a certain day. So do you think I just put a for sale sign outside on our lawn and then just let people come into my house without cleaning it, without doing anything special? No, I made sure that those first impressions when people walked into my house made them feel an immediate connection to where I lived, so that they could envision themselves living in my house and they would find it unique, and it had to smell good, right? We couldn't have it smell like garbage if they walked in. I got new bedspreads for my beds. I got new shower curtains. I even painted unique artwork in certain areas of my house at that time I had free time to paint. But what that did, I actually sold my house to the first person that came into it because it smelled good. Everything looked clean and orderly. And there was artwork. There was something unique about my house that no other house had. Now let's translate that into this raving fan process. How can we create these really great first impressions so that people will want to enroll with you, so people will want to come get a job with you, right? And from what I've read, you have seven, awkward in the camera like that, 7 seconds to make a first impression. That's not a lot. 7 seconds goes by pretty fast. And some research even suggests 1/10 of a second is all it takes to determine trustworthiness. And in childcare, having people trust that we are a safe, credible institution is so important. And that's happening at 1/10 of a second when people are making those first impressions. So keep that in mind. How do you make a first impression? Your brand is number one. Your website, the materials that you're handing out, your logo. Is it all outdated or is it relevant? Are you keeping it up to date? Are you keeping it fresh and new? What is the content that you're putting out there? You know, are you just putting out really nonchalant content? Are you really being intentional with what you're putting out there on your website, on social media? Your brand tells prospects that you're relevant. It tells prospects that you're innovative. And so we have to be really careful in looking. We may want to have someone else. If you want us to do it, we do a lot of branding with childcare centers. If you want someone to do an audit of kind of your brand experience, we would love to do that for you, because your brand is so important. And generally, people are analyzing your brand before they ever pick up the phone, before they ever fill out a form on the internet. So we need to make sure our brand says the right message about who we are. And then when people do come, or we're doing a virtual tour, or we have video, we need to make sure we're tour ready at all times. So you may not be giving tours inside your center right now. You might be giving touchless tours. Either way, it has to smell great. Your teachers have to be on point. They have to be smiling. We know how this works. You need to engage that family when they come in to tour your center and get them to feel like family. Get them to feel like they already are part of something in your organization. That's how you create a really great first impression. And then ask for the relationship. You know, part of your first impression is, again, what do you believe in your center? Do you believe that you guys are the best? If you do, you should not ever hesitate to ask for the relationship. Don't ever hesitate to say your family is a perfect fit for our philosophies and our programs, and we would love to have Billy, in, Miss Tina's room. So again, being real specific, ask for the relationship. Even when you have a potential employee that you're interviewing, if you feel they're a great candidate, don't let them go. Let them know, hey, this specific talent that you bring to the table is something our organization needs, and I need you here working with me. I want you to be a part of our team. So ask for that relationship. And then just every opportunity that you get, once you've converted that enrollment or converted that prospective employee into a new hire, we need to create really great first experiences for them, right? Stuff that they're going to remember during that first week at least of their life with you. And I'll give you some examples. So here's a couple examples on first impressions. So here's some entrance. You'll see on the top right how beautiful that is with their windows. This is a customer of mine, the Nook. And they have someone that comes in and does painting murals for their windows. Now, you might not have to go that extent, but what I'm trying to show here is that they're a really nice looking childcare center just by the exterior of their building. So don't ever underestimate how the exterior of your building looks. And then once they do come in that door, if you look on the left, the top left is a really cluttered front desk. And again, these pictures might be a little difficult through this training, but you will get this PDF. You'll see that the bottom front desk is really nice and clean, not cluttered. You don't have to spend a lot of money. It could just be decluttering your space. So again, those first impressions. And then on the top right, here's some branding things. So on the top right, you can see when you first walk in the door, you know what this company's core values are. You know that what their tagline is. This is actually the center I used to run, Momentum Early Learning. So this was a new building we had built. As soon as you walked in that door, you knew exactly what we were all about. On the bottom left is a program guide. So again, it's nicely branded. It's not your normal brochure. They went the extra mile and they put together these really cute program guides that are just colorful and beautiful. And it's worth the investment because it's, again, about perception, about impressions. And then on the top left, it's a little blurry, but whenever they've got a prospect that's pregnant, they put down the due date and they always send a baby card to welcome the brand new baby, even if they didn't end up becoming a customer of theirs. So it's just about building this reputation in the community. Now, first experiences, here's some cool things you can do. Obviously on the top left, this is a new teacher that's starting. You know, make that new teacher feel very special. Have their cubby ready or their locker ready, put a sign on the door. The middle picture, these Starbucks bottles. One of my centers, they ask the employee what their favorite thing is. And so this employee happened to like those iced Starbucks coffees. And so the first day the employees started, their entire refrigerator was filled with these Starbucks drinks. Isn't that a great first experience? So immediately, you're building a raving fan just because you're making them feel so special in the beginning of this relationship. And then on the top right is a new parent that's starting at the center. And so it says, welcome Lincoln and Miss Megan. So the morning that they're coming into work or coming in to drop their child, they've got a sign welcoming them. So again, it's just these little things that you can do to create these really great first impressions. And then I have this huge list, which we're not going to go over, but again, that's why we're sending the PDF. These are all different things that you can do to create a first impression. Are you participating in events? Are you volunteering? Because you're going to be out there in the community making an impression about your company. So we need to be participating in those things. What does your onboarding program look like during that first 90 days? Not just of 90 days of a new hire, but the 90 days of a new family. Do you have a family onboarding program? Those are creating those really great first impressions. And then do you know what your competition is doing so that you can do things better? So that's one thing that we always did, is we always knew what our competition was doing. And I think this is one thing that we often fail to do, is don't hesitate to get to know your competition. Get to know what they're doing right, what they maybe aren't doing so good. And then adjust your fire based on what they may or may not be doing. And that will help you with your first impressions. Now the A in fan is always engaging. And so with this, bear with me. Now the employee and the parent, they've joined your organization, and now we need to keep them interested, right? We need to keep them and keep building this relationship of a raving fan. So we do this by continuously engaging with them. And you can do that in several ways. So one is through intentional conversations. You know, I used to set a tickler, have a list of names, and I would make sure to touch base with at least 5 families a week and just have, how you doing? How are things going? A real simple, quick phone call. It could be a text. It could be an email, but whatever you do to keep engaging with that family is just to have some type of intentional conversation. Get feedback. Now, feedback's always scary. We just sent out a survey to our staff last week, and when you start reading the results, it can get scary. What's even worse is if you do ask and survey your families or your employees, and then you get the results and you do not do anything to fix any of the constructive criticism, you know, it could backfire on you. So just be prepared. If you're going to seek feedback from your families or from your employees, you have to be able to kind of navigate those responses and come up with a plan of action if there are things you need to rectify. We have a client that has family input nights, which are really cool. And because of COVID now, we can't do them in person, but basically it's a handful of their clients, their customers, their families. And we have a night where we facilitate questions and we just get feedback about our program. And why that's so important is because the more you keep engaging with your existing customer base, the more they're going to feel like they're a part of your organization. So any way that you can get feedback, getting ways on to how you can continuously improve. So our staff wants to be involved in where our company is going. So get their feedback. How can we improve? You know, what can we do better? What kind of programs can we institute? Can we use your talents? Everyone has a talent, whether you're an employee or a family. Use your employees' talents to do things. We used to have families teach workshops for us. And you're like, well, why would they do that? Well, one, it helps them because if they're a pediatrician or they're a dentist or they are a kindergarten teacher, whatever it is, you know, that's their field. They love getting in front of people to talk to them about that field. And it's going to be helpful to your families because it would be a free workshop. And again, with COVID, we can do all this stuff virtually now, which is really cool. And then your employees, we used to have our employees use their talents for all kinds of things. And again, it's about engaging with them and creating this culture where we're in this together, where we all are on fire for our brand. And I just thought this was a really valid quote. When leadership shows that they truly pay attention to ideas, even the small, seemingly insignificant ones, then an environment is created in which people feel comfortable generating and offering productive ideas. People feel valued and respected and creating energy that will be felt throughout the organization. So again, this is about creating that energy like we talked about in the beginning. When people feel like you're hearing every one of their ideas, doesn't mean you're implementing everyone's ideas, all of them, because you know there's bad ideas or ones that are not right for today. But when people feel like they're being heard, when you're engaging with them, you're showing interest in them and you're using their ideas, you're creating this energy in your organization that is this raving fan energy. Now, again, another way that we can engage, you know, we're getting survey results, we're getting reviews, we're getting testimonials. So share them. Display them. When you're displaying them, one, you're telling that customer or that teacher or that prospective family that we valued your opinion so much that we're displaying it, right? And what's that going to do? That's going to make them want to continue to give you feedback. And it's going to encourage other families or other employees to want to come forward and praise you. So don't just get people's feedback, display it. So on the left, you'll see here, there's a wall that this center has where they put all of, they'll like print out reviews or cards that they get and they display it. And they're really proud of what people say about their company. This middle area where it says teaching our core values, this is actually really cool signage that's on one whole wall of their center. And it's quotes from the kids that go to their center and why they attend Alphabet Soup Child Care. So it's a really fun display. And then the one on the right is actually a review from one of our employees for our company. And so we created a social media post and shared it on social media. So again, it's not that you're bragging about how great you guys are, but you're sharing the wonderful things that your raving fans have to say about you, and that engagement that they're doing with you, that interaction, we're putting it out there for the world to see, to say we're grateful for that, and to encourage other people to do that. And here's another way to engage, is giving back to the community. So this center has a giving program that they involve. It's part of the classroom, it's part of the curriculum. They get the kids involved, they get the families involved, and they then communicate what they're giving back to the community in a year-long campaign. So it's just a really fun way to keep families engaged, because they feel like they're part of this really cool thing that's going on. And then finally, here's another way, is to get creative. So I don't know about you, but I have a lot of centers where families can't come in, right? And so they're missing that experience when they walk in the door of seeing up-to-date news, seeing their child's artwork on the walls, whatever it is. So we've got this mobile television that we put a presentation on, so that when parents, during drop-off and pickup time, we roll it out to the outside where families are dropping off or picking up, and we have a presentation going, like, here's the news, here's some pictures of artwork, here's some events coming, here's a teacher spotlight. This didn't cost a lot of money, and it's a simple PowerPoint presentation that can run on it, that you can just change every week. And it's just a way, again, to engage your families as they're dropping and picking up their kids. I told you I was going to give you a lot of information today. I was not lying. Again, here's another list of ways to engage. Create opportunities for your staff to interact with each other, which again is hard because of COVID, but we need, iron sharpens iron, right? So giving your staff the opportunity to spend time with each other, to get better, to grow, to collaborate is so important. Extend lesson plans into the home. That's a way to get your families engaged. So if you can train your teachers that if they have a classroom project that they're working on, is there a piece of that project that you can then send home for the family to finish in the home? So engaging that family, so learning goes beyond the classroom in your centers to in the home. And then the last one out of this list that I'll talk about is culture captains. We have a couple centers that have culture captains. So it's a person that's responsible for putting on social type things at their center to help with culture with the employees. So they're just doing one activity a month, and it doesn't have to be an external activity. It could be that they have a ice cream bar that they put out one day, or it could be that they all go to like one of those paint by numbers things at night. So, but it's just one person that's designated to engage with their staff, so that it's not all on your shoulders. If you're the center director or you're the owner, you know, try to spread out that obligation. Now, our final letter, we're kind of wrapping up, is now and forever. So even when a family or an employee leaves your organization, that does not mean that relationship ends. And this is where I want to challenge you. Part of a raving fan is that you've built this relationship with them for months, years, however long that time period is. When they leave, you want them to continue to be there for you, to continue being a raving fan. And so how you do that, well, first it starts with an exit interview. So when a family or an employee leaves, do an exit interview, get their feedback. While you're doing that exit interview, ask them, will you be an ambassador for our company? Will you be a raving fan? Will you help us in the future hire or enroll families? And that could be done whenever we have a position available. We would send off a social media post and a flyer to our ambassadors. that would also share it on their social media. So you've got all these raving fans out there helping you hire, right? Or if you have an open spot, you can send out to your ambassadors, hey, we need enrollment. Can you be out there saying a good word for us? So don't be afraid to ask. You've built this raving fan relationship with your families, with your employees. Ask them if they'll continue to do that for you. Continue to be on the hilltops, sharing your social media. And then create an alumni and highlight their achievements. And I'm going to show you an example. We created an alumni magazine that comes out once a year for one of our clients, and it highlights where the kids are today. So maybe they were with your center for the first 3 years of their life, and now they're 6 years old. What is that 6-year-old doing today? It's just a really fun way to highlight them being an alumni of your child care center. Keep inviting these families, keep inviting these employees to events that you have, to trainings that you have. Don't take them off of your email list. And then stay active in the community. If you're volunteering at things, invite your alumni to come with you. Invite them to continue to be advocates on your behalf. And then scholarships, maybe you can offer scholarships at your center and have your raving fans help fund that scholarship. So this is a way that people that truly believe in your organization, truly want you to succeed as a company, they're going to remain a part of it even after they leave. Here's an example of the alumni magazine that we did. This is just 2 pages from it. So the one is the cover on the left, and then on the right, you would put a picture of the child and kind of a statement of what they're doing. But it's, once you have the template done, it's not hard to maintain, and you do it once a year and you send it out as a PDF. You don't even have to print it. And it's just a way to, again, keep these families remembering who you are, keep them talking about who you are, how much they loved being a part of your center. Now, how to get results as we wrap up. 2 things, your mindset and implementation. So again, mindset, if we go back to where we started today, it starts with us, right? If we're not passionate about what we're doing, if we don't love our work, if we don't love the organization that we are a part of, we're not going to be a raving fan, and we're not going to be able to spread that culture within our organization. So we have to believe our organization's #1. And then once we believe that, we need to train the rest of our staff to know that no matter what position they're in, they are also responsible for enrollment and recruitment. And they're responsible by creating raving fans. So again, it'll be that training that you'll do. How do you create fans? How do you create raving fans? Every position is responsible, whether you're a cook, a bus driver, a teacher, a director, an owner, executive director, any position in your organization has a role in enrollment and recruitment. We are all responsible. I did a training recently with a company. We went through this raving fan training. You'll see at the end, I've got a boot camp that we offer. But what was really cool is that one of their board members attended the training, because they understand that even though they're not in the center, they're on the board of directors and they're out there in the community talking about this center. So again, no matter what position you're in, you are responsible. We're responsible for the culture and for creating raving fans. And so we have to have this mindset that we're #1, and we have to have this mindset that we're all in this together. And then implementation. Implementation, I love this statement. Implementation of anything is the real source of gaining a competitive advantage. I mean, really let that sink in. Many of us have really great ideas, and we have all kinds of cool things around us, cool opportunities that we can implement. But if we do not implement them, we're not going to change. The real successful businesses are ones that know how to implement. And so when you have a moment today and you can reflect on today's training, what I'd really like you to do is just start small and think of one thing in each letter of FAN that you can do in your organization that you're going to commit to in order to help with implementation. Don't take on too much because there's a lot of ideas in here. And so you're going to set yourself up for failure. So just my challenge to you will be to come up with 3 things, one of each letter, that you'll commit to at least get this raving fan culture started. And then, like I said, I've got a boot camp that we're offering. So this is a special for you guys. It's normally $2,200. And if you say that you attended this webinar, you'll get it for $1,500. And it's a deeper dive into this. And it's a training. It's a 5-week training for anyone on your team. So we do any size group, and it can be done virtually. And it's 5 weeks of really getting that mindset, like I was saying, to becoming raving fans. And then I'll open it up to questions. And then I know.
Okay, so everybody is on mute. So to ask Caroline professional, you've got a professional with you for the next 15 minutes. So take advantage of this. Definitely take yourself off mute and go ahead and just let us know what your name is and where you're calling in from, and then we can answer for you as you guys are going to your screen and adjusting your setting. Just to let you know, we will be sending out training certificates to everyone via email, as well as the PDF to this presentation, as well as the link to our YouTube channel so that you can share it with the rest of your team. But with that, if anyone else has any questions, please just unmute yourself now and let's ask one of the professionals.
And then we're going to give away our prize. I know I threw out so much information. It's like digest. But most of us are probably doing many of the pieces that I talked about today. But what I like about FAN, creating a raving fan process, is it's intentional. It's a real clear focus. So it's a really great way to get your team all easily united in one vision.
Caroline, we had one question come in that asked, what is the simplest step to getting started creating this culture of raving fans?
I would start by first analyzing my environment. So I would make a list and really understand how the staff truly feels about the organization, because we need to start with our team first. And so let's look at what is the current condition of our environment. And I would identify like the top areas that might need to be fixed. And then I would just be real transparent and honest. And I would say, here's the top 3 areas that I really feel like we need to focus on and why we're doing it, so that you guys are going to love your job so much. That's the ultimate goal, right? We want our employees to just love coming to work, because if they love coming to work, they're going to be creating this environment, this raving fan environment, just naturally. And I know that sounds like a big undertaking, but you really need to get your employees to love working at your company.
And then we have a message from Jennifer, who just wanted to say thank you so much. She loves the idea of having signs for the families. So thank you. Thank you for that feedback also, Jennifer. And then Caroline, if you want to announce the winner, I sent you directly who the winner is.
Great. The winner is Renee Brooks. So hopefully Renee is here.
So Renee, yep. If you want to shoot me or Caroline actually directly, if you want to shoot Caroline your email address and your physical address, Caroline, what do you need from her?
I need the mailing address to where the box would get sent, and the name of the person that it would get sent to. And so here's my email on the screen, info@childcarebizhelp.com. So if you want to go ahead and send it there.
Well, congratulations, Renee. I wish we could hear you.
It's such a fun, this is a new product that we just started doing, and it has been a hit. And it's got such cool stuff in it. This next box that's coming first quarter will have business coaching in it that's free. That's worth hundreds of dollars from a gal that I work with that's just fabulous. And then it has teacher retention training in it that's free. And then it's got all kinds of other fun stuff in there too.
Well, Caroline, I just kind of wanted to say a few things. First of all, thank you for a wonderful presentation. You reminded me of several things that I practiced when I was a provider, and you also taught me some things I didn't practice, because we can always learn something. And one of the things that really resonated with me was something you said early on, and that is that you have 7 seconds to make a lasting or a first impression. And I will tell you, I think that's really, really very true. And typically the first impression is of you or ourselves. And I know that it's really hard in today's world to come in cheerful and, happy. A lot of us, sometimes we come in, with the weight of the world, on our shoulders. But this was a great reminder of something that I believe everybody that is on this call most likely has, otherwise you wouldn't be on this call. And that is you're passionate about what you do. Right. And Caroline reminded us that we need to, that our passion can cause movement. Is that how you worded it, Caroline? Because I forgot to write that down, but it resonated with me, is that I'm still doing this 40 years later because I am so passionate about what it is that we ultimately do or can do for children and families. And so I certainly will keep what you said in mind and make sure that when I walk through this door in the center that I've been working in periodically for the last couple of months, I'm going to make sure my passion shines, because if my passion doesn't shine, it can't be contagious. So thank you.
Yeah. Passion is probably the most critical thing. If you don't, people will know around you if they feel you're burnt out, if they see that you have no hope, which has been really hard as owners and leaders in our organization, as teachers, to come and work with positive attitude every day during what we're experiencing. And so I don't say this lightly, that passion is so critical. I know it's hard to be passionate, right now. But that's why you need to have support. So find people around you, get a group around you that help uplift you. We have a prayer group every Tuesday morning, and we pray specifically for the childcare industry. So email me if you're interested in that. It's on Tuesday mornings at 9 o'clock Eastern. And we just get together for 5 minutes and we pray for our owners, our teachers, our communities, and our children.
Well, that's a great invite. And I hope people that feel that need take you up on it. And I would also just like to say that if you can't find your passion one day, call me and we'll find it. It's in there. It's just buried for a moment, and let's just work together to re-energize. So if you don't know who else to call or feel you, what was that?
Hello?
I think it,
Is that Renee?
No, this is Kia.
Oh, hi, Kia. How are you today?
I'm fine. This is my first time on here. This is my first time. I have applied to be in this organization. And I work at a daycare, and I have been working here for 5 years. And I used to be a lead teacher. So now I just became a director of the center. So, I mean, I have done everything that y'all had done. But the person over me, they own the daycare. And I learned a lot from what y'all had said and everything. I also like the notebook. That's something new to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking about like if you can give me some more details about the notebook.
What I'll do, so I have your Kia, right?
Huh?
Is your name Kia?
Yes.
Okay, so I have your email that was put in chat.
Mm-hmm.
And I can send you a sample of what that book looks like.
Okay.
Then you'll have my email, so you can email me with other questions too.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, everybody, we are at the close, and we want to definitely, if you could just make sure to screenshot, take a picture of the screen, and keep Caroline's information so that you can contact her in the future. Also, again, we will be emailing this presentation to you so that we can keep you in touch with her and her business. And if you could please help support her by liking her on Facebook and Instagram and all those good platforms, as well as National Child Care Association. Cindy and Caroline, do you have anything left for our attendees?
No, I just appreciate you all, and keep working and plugging through.
And be as passionate as you can be.
Thank you all so much for taking the time today, and have a great rest of the week.
Thank you, Diane.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
You ready, Miss Cindy? I am. Perfect.